short segment of this piece, After the Rain. Thank you for being here. It's amazing to have you.
My name's R.A.M. Posen, Canadian singer-songwriter.
I love that red, orange patina.
Songwriter, guitar player.
You have this one record, 45 minutes of just solo guitar. It's amazing. Check it out. And it captivates you from beginning to end. How do we do that? So I want to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
You were playing 4 chords in the basis. That's what I got. First, let's maybe get to the chords and then we go from there.
Absolutely. So it's just 4 chords. We're in the key of E. So the first chord is E. That's an F sharp minor. We know that.
Yeah.
And then it's a D chord, but I play it as an add 9 because that's the melody. You could also go down chestnut and then to an A. And that's it. I think of everything in numbers. That just helps me transpose things faster. So if you said, hey, can we play it in G instead?
You just think in numbers in terms of the one chord and then to the
Exactly, the natural number system.
Yeah.
It's beyond guitar. It's
Yeah.
like more thinking of the music side than, oh shoot, what fret or what this.
So one thing that amazed me already is like, you play these chords as if it's super standard, but the way you fret these chords, make sure you have a lot of fingers left to play sort of add-ons, because you played the F sharp minor, you did this, right?
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yes, we're taught.
Exactly.
We're taught to play as full chords as possible. There's a lot more beauty, and not that I call myself sophisticated, but I think there's some more sophistication in smaller chords. And I think in triads, simple 1-3-5 most of the time. You know, whether that's root position, first inversion or second inversion, that's my basis. Everything else, if a chord needs to be bigger, then it'll be bigger. But I typically like to think 3 notes at a time, and then add on everything from there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So the 3 notes in this chord progression, E, F sharp minor, D, A, R, this,
Yep.
and then you do D sus2,
Yep. I call it a D at 9, but you're right. It's sus2.
or a 9, yeah, whenever we end. It is major, but we end a 9.
Got the third.
And then, yeah, it makes sense because it's clear, it's a very strong direction.
It trims the fat. Like if it was just. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a lot more meat on the bone than might be necessary.
Yeah.
You might want to build up to that. You can grow to like a bigger chord, but just to start off,
Talk about build-up. Where can we go from these simple triads? Where can we go? How can we add some melody maybe in there?
yeah, well, I would start with the melody of the song, which,
Okay.
again, maybe I should just quickly preface and say that like this whole record was just, there was improvised ideas. So I just sat down, I had these chords, and I just looped them over and over again and tried to tell a story with it and take it somewhere. So when I decided, or essentially I landed on this idea, it really felt like the melody was following the thirds for the most part.
Okay.
So the third of each chord is a great place to start. So, in E, it was the G sharp. In the F sharp, it was the A, the minor third. And then the D is obviously the 9 or the 2. But for the sake of consistency, it's the F sharp for the third. And then the C sharp for the A. That's kind of the melody. It couldn't be simpler. That first step is maybe the most important step because you should be able to identify and find whatever interval. So we're picking the third right now.
Yeah.
You can do the fifth, the root. You should be able to visualize them everywhere.
On the
So
neck.
just because we're going, you want to make sure, what if you wanted to play it on a low string? That's nice.
Let's do it. 3.
Exactly. And then go through every string, It's the same notes. Et cetera, et cetera. It's nice,
Yeah, I heard something very pretty.
Yeah. And with every string, like you saw on the E string that I played the F sharp down here, you could play it past the 12th fret. You would get that we we had on the A string, but there's some beauty in going low like that. That's getting more advanced, but it's basically taking the simple triad, 1, 3, 5, and inverting it, and being able to invert it you can even do it in 3-string clusters. So like, the first 3 strings, and then the next 3 strings start in the A, then the D, and then the G.
So is this something you would practice, like sitting at home? Okay, here's an A major chord.
Oh yeah. And I did that exact reaction. Yes, dude. No, that is maybe the most important kind of practicing. Like, as important as it is to play to a metronome and build up your technique and your phrasing and your speed and your this and that,
Absolutely.
knowing the fretboard kind of inside and out with simple little triads like that. And people always ask me, and I know they ask you maybe a million times more, how do I learn the fretboard better?
Yeah.
And there is no real cheat code or secret. It's just time. It's just putting the work in.
Yes.
And I find that if you just understand what it is you're trying to find, then it makes it a lot easier. So even if you break it down to a simple, like, okay, E major, let me find it, the 3 E major, just root, first inversion, second inversion, and then you just find those shapes, and you're gonna find that there's so much repetition.
Yeah.
The secret is that all we're doing is repeating ourselves. And if you think of it as the intervals, then it's, you're either going 1, 3, 5, and then you're going 3, 5, 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's always that same thing.
Could we get an example of how you would play this chord progression, not on the first position or
Yeah.
second position, just a little bit higher, or?
Sure. So, if we do there, that would be first root position on the A string in E. But if I take away the E here, this would be first inversion. That's 3, 5, 1. So let's do that. So we can go. There's barely any movement, you know?
Yeah, that's really good.
And you can get a bit more interesting with it.
Beautiful.
And then last one, of course. Something about when chords are so close together, they sound really kind of cohesive.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you're gonna go like,
That's weird.
it's weird because it's not a natural harmonic movement in terms of voice leading.
Voice leading.
I try to think of, you pick one note in your chord. So for example, back to the first one I did, it kind of sounds like the top note is the melody. Yeah, 2 notes basically.
Yeah.
Or you could take the middle note.
Yeah.
Or of course. That one's a bit more basic, but that's the idea, and that's how you start building. That's 3 options right there, to just take a melody somewhere else and play around with it and hopefully find something that sounds natural to your ear. And like I'm always just trying to think outside of the technical, like what I hear in my head, like am I singing it? I'm trying to just play what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I promise you it won't take as much time as you think, but it just requires some patience and like thinking big picture.
Now we want to introduce some. I want to hear some leads,
Yeah,
if you want, of course.
I do want to. Yeah. So the way I would approach it, I would think about it. Every chord is just happening under the umbrella of E major. E is the key.
Yeah.
So, if we're thinking diatonically, a D would make this key dominant. You would think Mixolydian.
E Mixolydian. Yeah.
And I don't think modes really. I think simpler than that.
Okay. Yeah.
I just would still think major. And I would just play it when the chord happens. So this kind of technique, it's essentially just target notes and targeting chords as they happen while staying in the key. And what that does, if you weren't accompanying me right now and I just played melody, essentially you should be able to hear the chord changes. These are just roots. best friend. The third will be the one that just
That's-
highlights the chord the best.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just
That's
that-
the most like harmonic information in the
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So I would think E major the whole time, really, if I was thinking leads. And on the recording on this record, Mile End, I wanted to establish, you can call it a head if we're thinking like in like jazz standard terms. It's like the head is just those chords every time. And then I just tried to embellish the melody in different ways and just try to take it somewhere and then come back to it at the end
Yeah.
and hopefully not screw it up. That's essentially what I was
And
going for.
you were always like having the 4 bars in your hands.
That's the form, exactly.
Yeah.
Maintaining the form.
Because I think that's very important, and a lot of people
Yeah.
tend to lose that if they play by themselves. They tend to just go all out and they stop counting. They stop.
That's a very good point because so many people, they think, oh, I missed the chord. I'll go back and play it. That's not how music works, really. Like if you're playing with people or if you're playing to a track, the song keeps going without you.
Yeah.
So if you miss it, it's really important to just latch on to wherever. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
if you're with the band, that's pretty easy because you hear the bass player or key player go.
Yeah.
But if you're playing all by yourself with like you can lose it if you don't watch out. So that's also why playing very basic in the beginning really will help you. Playing just like landing on the 1 on the first beat, for example.
Yeah.
Always playing a root note maybe on the first beat just to give you some sense of direction in the chord progression.
Exactly.
It's very useful.
Yeah, so I mean, for this, I would really just lean on E major or E major pentatonic if that helps. I think of it as the same thing because there's no 4 and there's no 7 essentially.
Yeah.
But sometimes it to think of it as a shape, it does help to go as opposed to. So I get it. I get it.
All the good notes are in the pentatonic.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I would just try to like. So that was a good example. So taking something like a chord movement and then repeating it, but in the next key, kind of building a motif. I think those kind of things are even more important than the technical side of what notes to play, what scales to play.
Of course.
Because like how you're playing it comes across and connects with people. I think, at least when I listen to music. And the biggest thing that has nothing to do with the key, the notes, or anything is dynamics. And I still feel like dynamics is something that people don't talk about enough. And so for those of you that don't know, it's your level. It's your playing quiet, playing loud. We tend to just play at home and we practice and we're just. If we only play at one volume all the time, we have nowhere to go dynamically. So I like to tell a lot of people, just work your way up the neck. Start low.
Okay. Wait 1 second.
Yeah.
What was that? What you played? Because the
Okay.
D chord was very interesting.
Yeah. So it was the same triad. We did the first, second inversion E, starting from the 5th.
Oh, you don't play the E.
I didn't play the E.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
I think that's maybe why it was interesting.
Yeah.
So it was technically an E over B. F sharp minor over C sharp. Then I just went up. To A over C sharp. First.
So now the A string is sort of leading, or it feels like it's.
Exactly. Voice leading on those notes. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh man, I'm digging this kind of.
You could sit there like. Sorry, you can go. You did it, so I was like, I kind of wanted to.
That's very.
You know? So right there. has so much more impact because we save the low E.
If you finally hit that low E, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're tuned into C, it's like, go.
Yeah, it's big. But it's just such a simple thing, and we as guitar players, we just let's just play everything. Let's not think about it. But if you strip it back and simplify, and just don't just play something to play it, but play it because there's like purpose behind it or because you mean it. It makes everything have so much more impact.
Yeah. I saw you play with fingers.
Yeah,
Is it
I tend to hybrid. Yeah, I always do this. I know, I'd say most people do what you're doing.
Yeah, I did this. Yeah.
I think it's important to just do whichever makes you not think about it ever.
Yeah.
And that's what this has always been.
That's fun. Between the index.
Yeah, I lose it if I do it like this. Same with when I play slide, I'm holding it there, and it helps me use these fingers. I would try thumb and your index and middle finger, and you could go like. Oh, that's one good thing we should talk about too, is because in this chord progression, E, F sharp minor, D, A, D to A is essentially an A sus chord. So you could really build tension. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you could actually even do it on the E if you didn't want to treat it as an F sharp minor. You could make it like a. Yeah, almost like a one, two minor over one or a four over one.
Yeah. It always reminds you of Albatross, the song from Fleetwood Mac.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Song, yeah. This is maybe my favorite key, like change, like ever on guitar, just E, and then you can also hit.
Oh yeah. Like I said, yeah. Whenever you have those, especially in the key of E, when you have all those open notes on the top, and that's the reason I love open tuning. But you still really get them in standard tuning.
Yeah, yeah.
Just using. Major seven, just have fun with it. Just get creative. Like I don't know. I can get lost in just kind of living around the two middle strings, the D and the G string. You know, in this progression, you can use the A open, the E open.
Yeah.
You could even.
One question for the viewers at home who really want to practice this stuff but need a very exact, like concrete exercise.
Yeah, I think two things. One is fun and one is not as fun.
Okay, let's start with not fun and we end with fun.
Okay, so the not fun one is what we talked about at the beginning, is taking a major and a minor triad.
Okay.
So just to keep it really simple, let's start on the A string and let's just go through the three triads, in three inversions. So
Okay.
root position 1, 3, 5 in E, and then first inversion 3, 5, 1, and then 5, 1, 3, which you can do down here. You memorize those, and then you do them on every string.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
for example, let's start on the A string, and let's just go through the three triads, in three inversions. So
Okay.
root position 1, 3, 5 in E, and then first inversion 3, 5, 1, and then 5, 1, 3, which you can do down here.
Okay.
You memorize those, and then you do them on every string.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
for example, the reason I started on that string is because I wanted to start from the root. But if you're on the low E, your first available one is first inversion.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's a close triad. Yeah.
So I would do this, yeah, these are just close triads. I would do this on every string except the B and the E because we can.
Yeah.
You do that in every key. Just test yourself. Go, okay, C. Okay, so my first one. Okay, it's second inversion. Like I said, you're gonna realize, wait a minute, I just play the same thing over and over again, and that's the point, you know? So you do that in major and then do it minor.
Okay. Yeah.
I would do the same thing. E, 1, flat 3, 5.
Yeah.
So that's the not fun stuff.
Okay. But it's very useful. So probably do it first.
That's the big picture practicing that I just helps so great. So yeah, for practicing the song, I would maybe put a metronome on.
Oh,
Yeah, or just something like maybe a drum track that feels inspiring to play to. Record yourself. So either your phone, if you have a fancy setup, it can be anything. But I find personally the only way to grow is to dissect what you're already doing. If you're not documenting what you're doing, you're never really gonna know if you're improving or not.
good point. Yeah.
Oh, I tend to I play on top, and like I rush things, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't really know that.
Yeah.
So that's my fun one, because it's just have fun with it and play.
Yeah, play
But
yourself.
listen back and then dissect it, and then say what's good, what's not so good, what can be improved, and then work on that and record that and keep the cycle going. You can really be. It's the mirror. It's the musical mirror.
And also recording yourself, often for me, it's a great way to make sure I practice before I actually record, because you have to do it right, especially for these videos, especially for your videos and for your shows. I mean, you don't want to be on stage half-assed, like, it's almost there.
Yeah.
No, you gotta get it right, so you practice 10 times as much to make sure you get it. So, you showed us a few things, want to be immediately inspired to talk,
I know.
just try all this out. All the links to are just below in the description box, everything you want to know. Ariel Bose, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Paul. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Wonderful.
Yoinks! Alright, I gotta go eat.